Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope that you're doing really well in this moment in time, no matter where in the space-time continuum you find yourself. I hope that in this moment you are actually open and ready to receive new experiences, new events, new people, new things in your life. I'm saying this because tomorrow is a new moon. Woohoo! The effects of which we will feel for about 2 weeks. Now I'm going to go to Astrology King and let you guys know what he has to say about the new moon. Summary, basically. You should actually, if you're interested in this stuff, go to this website, astrologyking.com. This is the new moon in November article he wrote, and it's very long and very, very extensive and fabulous. But I'm going to read to you the summary only, kind of towards the bottom of the page. He says, the new moon on November 26th, 2019, will cause change and upset. Mars, opposite Uranus, is one of the most disruptive of all influences in astrology. Great. Just in time for Thanksgiving, it makes people angry, impulsive, and rebellious, he says. I added the Thanksgiving part. The new moon quincunx Uranus. Okay, that just sounds dirty, okay? I know he's making up this word, quincunx. That sounds really, inappropriate. Quincunx Uranus. It adds even more tension and anxiety and inappropriateness. Okay, wait, sorry, I just added that part. But it does offer an outlet for the chaotic energy. The quincunx aspect is like a seesaw. It's also like a made-up word. It can make you indecisive, but in this case, it is better to weigh up your options carefully before acting. The irritation triangle. I don't know why. It's just like there's so many jokes there. Like the irritation triangle, like my last marriage. The irritation triangle that my ex-husband bought me for our last Christmas together. Or the irritation triangle, that is my family. I live in Florida near the Bermuda Triangle, but I'm going to, I'm going to the Midwest where the irritation triangle, my family lie. I mean, it's like there's so many jokes, okay? Anyway, the irritation triangle amplifies the high-strung nature of the aspects. Open-mindedness and flexibility will allow you to choose the best of the opportunities created by the chaotic changes ahead. Fixed star Akrab. Akrab is a star that means scorpion in Arabic. And he does go into the stars really intensely. So fixed star Akrab adds to the high-stakes nature of the aspects. There will be opportunities to gain power, increase your wealth, woohoo, and defeat your enemies. You fools, I shall defeat you. Wait, what's this defeat your enemies? Is that like what's going through people's minds this week? You know, like the old-fashioned cartoons or the hero-villain movies dichotomy. Whatever. But anyway, you can defeat your enemies. It just sounds so crazy. But anyway, so here's your opportunities, guys, to gain your power, increase your wealth, and defeat your enemies. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going on. Moving right along. But you have to use strategy and play your cards right to succeed and stay on top. Whew, so many jokes. They're just so. Moving right along. There will be winners and losers from this new moon, and there is a lot to play for. It will not be easy to undo what happens during this moon phase. You hear that? It will not be easy to undo what happens during this moon phase. Now, a little bit earlier, I was reading this page, and it did say that if you are, according to the Chinese aspects in the Chinese calendar right now, if you are a man and you're married to somebody and you cheat on that somebody with a woman at this time, 3 years from now, that woman will have a baby. So I guess if you start an affair that's going to last 3 years or 2.5 years, so, you know, it's hard to undo what starts this week, basically. And also it says in the Chinese astrology that if you get married right now, like this week, if you're in the process of getting married to somebody right now, that you will have a baby boy in your life in 3 years as well. So, I mean, hey, that's pretty cool. All right. It says, this is the last new moon of the current eclipse cycle, which began with the July 2nd solar eclipse. This means that the new moon is the last chance to act on the goals you set back then in July and complete what you have been working towards in the past 6 months. So the July 2019 solar eclipse offered good health, honor, and riches. So with patience, open-mindedness, and hard work, you still can make all of your dreams come true. So yay! So the effects of this new moon is going to last 4 whole weeks. Oh, I said 2 earlier. 4 is even better. 4 weeks. So this is the best time, you guys, for making a fresh start and beginning new projects. And it's during the first 2 weeks of the new moon cycle that is the best time to start a brand new everything, basically. So if you're in Los Angeles, the new moon will start at 7:05 on November 26th. So basically, by the time I get this published, I gotta tell you guys, this is my second introduction I've had to do today. The first one is 42 minutes long, and it took 3 hours to be at 75% uploaded, and then I just had to delete it because it was just not ever. I shut my phone off and on several times. I had the phone plugged in, my battery was perfect, everything was great, and then yet the technology is still, Mercury retro shading me. So, damn, that's, by the time I get this out, it will be the new moon. But the effects, if you don't hear this in the first 24 hours, it's okay. You're still going to have the effects of the new moon in the next 2 to 4 weeks. If you want to start something new, do that in the next 2 weeks. So you got some time. So let's see. I want to see if I could go over the some of the stuff he said about the Chinese stuff. And he was talking about, the list shows that the new moon is between 2 stars right now. And they're between 0 degrees and 10 feet apart. Is that, I don't know, it's 10, I don't even know what that means. It looks like the foot symbol, but I don't think that's what that is. Anyway, so when the new moon first appears, it's going to appear between 2 stars called Omega 1 and Omega 2 Scorpii. And together these stars are called Jabhat al-Aqrab, from the Arabic meaning forehead of the scorpion. So in China, they are also called Kaoqin, which means hook and latch. So if I'm pronouncing these things wrong and you are Chinese or Arabic, my apologies for my terrible pronunciation. I don't know much about Chinese, like Mandarin, but I have learned quite a bit of Arabic, but only from the Saudi Arabian Arabic, and I don't know much about the, like the Western Arabic, but okay. Anyway, in Cook Islands star lore, and this is very interesting, I thought, it says this pair of stars represent twins who fled their parents and went out into the sky. The girl, her name is called Piri Ere Ua. Hopefully I'm saying this correctly. And this means inseparable. And she keeps a hold so tight on her brother that they were always together. And her brother, though, he's not named. How rude. I kind of wanted to know his name, right? But I thought that was kind of a cool thing. And they said, to me, that says to me, the moon, the new moon is in between two twins. I feel like this is a new beginning for a lot of twin flames. And a good friend of mine just wrote me and said, guess what I did last Saturday? I moved to South Dakota from Texas. And I was like, whoa. And I started looking at some of the stuff he's been going through this past few months. And I'm like, wait a minute. First of all, he lost his job and got a new one, but he lost his job. That was the first sign. Second sign, there was a shooting at the mall where he normally shops down the street from him, massive shooting that was in the news for a while. And then the third thing was he lost his place to live. I'm like, dude, that's like 3 signs. So I'm so happy he went because he met someone online like about a month or so ago and decided to move there to see what he could see, if that's his twin flame or not. And he thinks it is. He's like, I've never felt this kind of love for anyone. She's super affectionate and loving and open and just amazing. And he moved to South Dakota, the Badlands. It's such a cool place to be. I don't know if you guys have ever traveled to South Dakota, but this is where in the old Wild West days, a lot of bad guys would hang out because it was hard to find people in these really wild rolling hills. You should go look up pictures of the Badlands, but that's why they're called the Badlands, because the bad men hid out in the Badlands. Also, there's a lot of strangeness. I mean, we were driving through there when I was 18 years old. I went with some friends to California from North Dakota, and we're driving through the Badlands, and there were like whole cow skulls and skeletons with like the horns still stuck to it was like pretty crazy stuff, like what you would expect in an old Wild West movie, but that you would never expect in real life. And it was crazy. I was really blown away by the Badlands. But anyway, I told him to put some flowers on the grave of Crazy Horse, who I believe might be buried in South Dakota. And my hats off to Crazy Horse. He was a Sioux hero. And when I took my Native American Studies class, I was really, really saddened by what happened to him. They shot him in the back. He was in jail. They let him go. And while he was walking away, they shot him in the back. And then they put in the report that he was escaping prison. And he was fleeing the scene, and they had no choice. And no one deserves to die like that. That's like a coward's way of killing someone in the old Wild West. So I'm like, just go put some flowers on his grave, because even though he's probably been reincarnated a bunch of times since then, I just feel like, homeboy needs some respect, right? Because what did he do? He was just doing his native thing. They got in trouble for doing the dance, the ghost dance. I don't know if that's why I was in jail that time, but the whole thing, I don't know. My love goes to all the Sioux nations, the Lakota, Nakota, and Dakota. I love them all. And, they're the ones that prophesied the white buffalo, and the white buffalo came to their nation, was actually born there. And that was a sign of the end times, they have some very intense beliefs and prophecy that actually came true. So I have a great deal of respect for these nations. Plus, I was one of these nations. I can't remember which one in a past life. So I don't know. I was their ancestor. Okay, maybe one family, but whatever. Actually, I wasn't. I didn't have kids then. Never mind. I was their cousin, their cousin ancestor. They, like the family, the one family that probably might possibly be related to who I used to be. Anyway, nonetheless, I love these people very much. But, okay, this is really strange that what it says about the fixed star. They say it's the closest major fixed star to the new moon is the Akrab, and it comes from the Arabic word, the scorpion. Robson calls it extreme. It says it causes extreme malevolence, mercilessness, fiendishness, repulsiveness, malice, theft, crime, pestilence, and contagious diseases. And it says, but it also gives the ability to do research, especially into things of a particularly secret and hidden nature, but also lying, treason, difficulties, impediments, or loss. Okay, so what I'm thinking here is don't wear jewelry and go outside. Don't look flashy if you go outside. Be extremely careful and cover your face because of, pestilence, contagious diseases. And just watch out for fighting and icky energy between people. Take a deep breath and just kind of, ride it out, baby. Just count to 10 before you say anything or do anything that you might regret later. It says that, but if you're gonna look into things of a particularly secret and hidden nature, hey, listen to Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast, because I'm always here, and you guys, this is kind of hidden nature stuff, right? A little bit secretive. Anyway, it says that with the moon conjuncting Akrab, great power, honor, wealth, promotion, and gifts are possible. But success does come after many difficulties, and there is a danger also of violence, trouble, sickness, and benefits seldom lasting. It also gives a materialistic nature, an overactive mind, ADD, interest in unpopular ideas, like my show, I'm just kidding, criticism, and difficulty in obtaining legacies. So that's very interesting. Now, the Chinese part, it says, this is the fourth Chinese lunar mansion. This is Chinese astrology. Feng, the room. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing the word Feng right. Maybe it's Feng or something, and I might be wrong, but it's F-A with an accent aigu if you're speaking French. I don't know what it's called in Chinese, but it's called the room. And it says, this is a lucky mansion. It is the opener of that which is closed and connected with a great sacrifice of burnt offerings. Burn incense. That's a clue. Okay. Good for building, with the proprietor being able to increase holdings, build extensions, and acquire gardens and surrounding land. Investment, development, and interior decoration are also favored. All right. So if you don't want to be robbed or get pestilence and disease, stay in and decorate your house while listening to Metaphysical Soul Speak and burning incense. Hey, there's your plan. The room presages luxuries. Ooh, so in our future we all have luxuries, happiness, longevity, health, and general material increase. Woo! It is even lucky to bury with one's ancestors being willing to assist in finding promotion, riches, and official recognition for the family. What does that mean, bury, guys? It's lucky to bury? I would say maybe bury a couple coins in the earth that you're never going to dig up again in the name of your ancestors, because it doesn't really explain that. So it does say official recognition for the family. Okay, couples who marry now expect the birth of a boy, and if a man takes a mistress, a son will be born in 3 years. yeah, you might want to reconsider the mistress thing. I mean, you know, lest you wish that for your future. It says, when the moon is 2 to 5 degrees below the ecliptic in this mansion, there's calm and peace. When it's north of this, there are many events connected with the yin principle. When it is south of 5 degrees, there's drought and mourning. Not the time of day, but the sadness that, you know, comes after someone dies. But it says, referring back to the star chart, you can see that the moon is above the ecliptic, so the yin qualities apply. These are the yin qualities. Passive, negative, darkness, earth, north slope, cloudy, water, softness, female, moisture, nighttime, downward seeking. See, this sounds really sexual to me. Downward seeking, slowness, consuming, cold, wait a minute, odd numbers, wait, what? Oh, not so sexy. Odd numbers, 1 is an odd number. And docile aspects of things. All right, well, there you go. There you go. So this is pretty interesting. I like the Chinese part of it. Negative in Chinese doesn't necessarily mean negativity. It could be just the passive part of something, negative space, like as an artwork. Also, when you think about an electron has a negative charge, which means it's very excitable. Which is the opposite of passive, actually. But I don't know. I like to look at the word negative not as the way that people traditionally see it. So, all right. The other thing I wanted to tell you guys, astrology-wise, or horoscopo. I think that's how you say it in Spanish. It's actually without the H. It's like horoscopo. Even though there's an H in the front, you don't pronounce it. All right. The horoscope lady that I sent you guys to the other day, and some of you went and actually heard the videos, which were, oh my God, so amazing. She has her own website, and on the website you could go and read your individual weekly horoscope. And I read mine, and it's like, whoa, she's really good. I mean, I'm not an astrologer, so I can't just like make up this stuff the way other people can, like, you know, put it all together, but she's awesome. So she has a website, and it's called Astrilada, ASTROLADA.com. And then just go to the weekly horoscope. And like in mine, and this is by the celebrity astrologer Mariana. And it says that, like for me, for example, that starting tomorrow, it's going to start a new energy in my home. Family relationships, property cases, or residency. I'm in the middle of trying to get permanent residency. Like it's a year from now, but it's been on my mind. And property cases, well, there are some things regarding my property. Someone wants to buy my house right now. So it's like super accurate stuff. I'm looking at this going, whoa. And it says you can take advantage of the tidal wave of the new moon to improve your background deal with issues in the sector that you have long worked for. Yeah, I've been trying to make money to buy a house here. So there you go. So, it just basically says, sow seeds you want to sprout in the coming months and will guarantee you more harmonious living conditions and comfort. And then talks about how social activity are going to grow. Well, doesn't take a rocket scientist since this is Thanksgiving week, but it's interesting. Her stuff is like really accurate. It's really amazing. So astrolada.com. I hope that you guys can go check that out. And just bookmark it too, because you're probably going to want it from now on. And the same thing with this one, astrologyking.com. He does the overall thing. I haven't checked out his horoscopes, and he might have amazing ones too, but I have a feeling he does, to be honest. So I can't believe this is the second introduction I've had to create. Unbelievable. All right. And the first one was similar, but it just seems like it was better somehow. Maybe I said something inaccurate and God is like, nope, gotta do it again. Oh, man. All right. Schumann Resonance news. Disclosurenews.it is the only website working right now. Heartmath.org is not working. So Schumann Resonance News, they just basically, it's confusing because it should say 11/25 and instead it says 1/24, like it's January 24th. They're either in a time warp or maybe they were just, sleepy when they wrote this, because they did the very last, 23 UTC report, and they wrote, today was a day of total calm. Only 2 isolated movements broke the flatness. One was power 17 and one was power 20. It occurred around 9 a.m. UTC time. That was it. 20. And then the other one's not even working. Crazy, right? I can't believe that. So next we go to A Course in Miracles, acim.org, through the Foundation for Inner Peace. We are now on lesson 168. And this is the thought for today. Your grace is given me. I claim it now. Your grace is given me. I claim it now. God speaks to us. Shall we not speak to him? He is not distant. He makes no attempt to hide from us. We try to hide from him and suffer from deception. He remains entirely accessible. He loves his son, which means all of us, son, daughters, whatever. Just when it says sons with a capital S, it just means all humans, basically. So he loves his son. There is no certainty but this. Yet this suffices. He will love his son forever. When his mind remains asleep, he loves him still. When his mind awakes, he loves him with a never-changing love. Never-changing love. If you but knew the meaning of his love, hope and despair would be impossible. For hope would forever be satisfied, despair of any kind unthinkable. His grace, his answer, is to all despair, for in it lies remembrance of his love. Would he not gladly give the means by which his will is recognized? His grace is yours by your acknowledgement, and memory of him awakens in the mind that asks the means of him whereby its sleep is done. All right, the rest of this lesson goes on. It's only 6 paragraphs, pretty small ones, so it's very easy to take you just another 5 or 10 minutes tops, not even, to read this. The main idea for the day is combined with a couple more ideas in the end to complete the daily practice. And you just have to think about this for a few minutes every day, or a couple times a day for a few minutes. Your grace is given me. I claim it now. Father, I come to you and you come to me who ask. I am the son you love. All right, so this is written for people who were Christian but were feeling like it wasn't 100% the whole story or the truth even, that maybe there's some deception or, the idea of wanting to keep you in the guilt and the shame energy and the 3D bipolarity energy. So basically, it's written in a way to undo and unravel that. But if it gets uncomfortable for you to say things like calling God Father and you want to call God Mother or just the universe, you can always substitute words, whatever is going to make you feel emotionally comfortable and more connected to the material of this, because you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? But it says, I am the son you love. You could say, I am the daughter you love. Or I am the human you love. I am the being you created that you love. You don't have to use the words 100% the way that they are written here, because it's written for a very specific purpose. But I just want to let you know, if you want to check it out and read the rest of the lesson, acim.org. This is lesson 168. You can start all the lessons anytime you like, absolutely free, with one of the free apps that are available. This is a really incredible, miracle-producing, absolutely miracle-producing set of lessons. That's why it's called A Course in Miracles. There was a man who was doing the Course in Miracles. He was towards the end, and he was in Sedona, Arizona, and he was legally blind, really badly though, like almost blind as a bat, right? He could see shapes and shadows and nothing else. And he was driving on the street, on this road that's coming down from the mountains going into town in Sedona, and he was like, I guess, thinking, well, you know what? It says that God will heal me, or, whatever, something. I can't remember what the line was from A Course in Miracles, but he said, okay, God, if this is true, I'm going to trust. And so he took off his glasses and shut his eyes and kept driving on this windy, curvy, very scary and dangerous mountain. And by the time he's down at the bottom of the mountain, his eyesight was perfect. And he could see, and he didn't go off the road. So, pretty cool. It was a pretty cool story. Another story my friend Tom told me, he took the lessons, A Course in Miracles, and he was seeing miracles in his life. I mean, he went from working 60 to 80 hours a week, getting by pretty well, decently, but wasn't getting much ahead. And he ended up, he did A Course in Miracles and found this travel company how we met was through this travel company. And he became a millionaire in like 2 years with it. And to this day, he's still a millionaire, and he's still teaching and helping people get through A Course in Miracles, and turning people on to the material, because it's really excellent. And he told me this story about his friend who he got him into the Course in Miracles, and this guy was like really overweight, and he hadn't like dated, not even on one date, for like, what do you say, like 12 years or something, like something really long time. He was scared, introvert, and he found out that the reason was because he had warts all over one of his hands, and he was so embarrassed. He felt like he didn't want anyone to be subjected to that in a relationship, and he really allowed that to hold him back, and he was very sad about it, and he had gone to dermatologists, and it was just like a very virulent kind of wart, but my Virgo-ness goes, but he started A Course in Miracles. And the thing is, if you listen to Louise L. Hay's stuff from Hay House, her book, You Can Heal Your Life, in it says that warts are tiny bits of self-hatred, right? So this guy had bad thoughts about himself, and then he developed the warts, and then everything just got reinforced, and then he just didn't date anybody. He didn't think he was worth anything. He didn't think he was worth dating, right? So he got into A Course in Miracles, and for him the miracle was that he started believing in himself. And about halfway through doing the miracles, each day is a new miracle, each day is a new lesson. So about halfway through the lessons, around 100, I think he said around 165, maybe about now, actually, and like doing them intensely and reading them through and really, really studying it, he ended up in the shower one day. He was just like his normal routine, and also he looked down, and all the warts, this is so gross, but they had all peeled off his hand, leaving new fresh skin underneath, and they were just gone. Just like that, and one day, boom, just gone. And he went out like a week later with my friend Tom, and they were out walking around, and they were going into this record store, this old, used goodies, oldies but goodies type record store, like old music, and they were looking for some old rock and roll albums, I think he said. And as they were walking into the store, this woman went by in a car, and she slowed down for a minute and looked at this guy. And my friend Tom said, the way she looked at him and the way he looked at her, he's like, it was unmistakable and undeniable that in the future they're in love. They're going to be married. And he had a quick vision while standing there. And for him, his psychic ability increased by taking this also. his intuition, and he just was like, whoa, holy man. And he's like, go ask her out. Like, I guess she's waiting at a stoplight, you know, and he's like, that's like crazy. I'm not going to. If she's really the one, I'll see her again. I don't know the rest of the story. I'm assuming it all happened and everything's cool, and maybe they're married and have a kid now, but this guy was like so sad. Like, can you imagine like 12 years not having a date because there's nothing you could do about warts on your hand? I mean, that seems like an expiation to me. Like, it sounds like some kind of like a secret, or like a, not secret, but like kind of like a, it's kind of scary, but it's almost like a punishment from God, right? But it really wasn't. It was a punishment from himself, like, because he felt so bad about himself, probably from childhood, you know, from maybe a relationship that went horribly wrong. He was divorced, I believe so. But this course does cause miracles to occur, you know. So if you decide to start this up in January as your New Year's resolution, which is a good one, make sure that, you know, just make sure, please, that you're, you know, that you're really working the program, basically. You know, you do one a day and really focus on it. Really, really try to get the meanings of it, because it's going to unravel a lot of negativity from the 3D world, you know, the stuff that you could just go, ooh, that's so 3D. Because it just doesn't pertain to the fifth dimensional world anymore. So this will unravel a lot of stuff for you, and it'll help you get more anchored in. I'm probably going to start where I left off. When I read them to you, I only read half of them. I don't get to all the lessons now, but maybe in January I'll start my day doing that every day. Like, I left off around lesson 100 or something, so I might get back to it, because it really has created more opportunity in my life. I'm sure of it. I'm sure that this is what helped me unravel a lot of stuff from my past. So, and it will help you guys too. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, you are going to hear more in The Spirit's Book by Allan Kardec, written 162 years ago in 1857. It was first published in Paris. This book went all around the world. Thank God it did too, because in Europe they started having book burnings when the Catholic Church got a hold of it and started reading it, and they considered it to be blasphemy because some of the things were not what the church wanted people to know or hear. So, you know, we come right back. I did have some quick news though about the Duende, and he's so adorable, and he's with me right now. My son was in my room, and we were talking this morning, and I said, you know, that little duende of yours, I think he likes shiny objects, and we haven't given him enough, so he's stolen another spoon. And my son said, you know, I've noticed that it seems that a lot of our silverware has started to go missing, and no one's coming in. And well, we did have the window open today, but the pigeons don't steal silverware. They do try to come in and steal food sometimes. We've caught them a couple different times. They know better. I fed the pigeons out of my hand yesterday. Fred was so happy, and he's so gentle with me. He didn't want to do a high five because it was too violent, so he kind of caressed my hand with his wing. I was like, "Aw, so cute." But he hopped right onto my hand and then ate out of my hand while both his claws were digging into my fingers. I was like, oh my God, he's serious. He doesn't want me to leave. So, like, because he could have waited for me to pour it onto the windowsill, you know, and hang back, but now he wanted to have that interaction with me. I'm like, oh, how cute, right? And that's right after I did the fairy episode. Or no, it was actually the day I did the fairy episode, so yeah, right before I did it, actually. But the duende, I think he stole my spoon that I was stirring my coffee with, and I told my son, and my son goes, oh my gosh, I know why he's messing with you so much. Why he's tying all your stuff into knots, and why he's stealing your silverware, and he's stealing all of our silverware. And why during my fairy episode, he was making a bunch of noise in the kitchen. Things were like crashing and banging and falling over. And I'm like, what the hell? There's no one in there. My son was asleep. I was in my room. No one else could get in here. It's crazy, right? So I figured that Well, I mean, I told my son this, and my son said, "Oh no, Mom, he just wants to be with you." And so he went and he gauzed one day and he put it on my nightstand, and he seems to be very, very happy being there. He's standing above all of my crystals, which are on the shelf below. I put a couple crystals near him, and he seems to be really, really digging it. We haven't had any trouble with him since we moved him, so yeah, I know, I love him. I just want to mention it. Maybe one of these days I'll take a picture of him and send it to you guys. You're going to think, how adorable is he? He's got little hematite eyes. He's made by hand, and a lot of energy was put into making him. And he's wearing he's standing on blue clay, and he's wearing a purple, like a magenta colored hat and suit. So he looks very dapper in this little outfit. It's super, super cute. So I don't know. Anyway, he's here. He's going to spend the night with me while I sleep right next to him. So I'm hoping, we'll see if there's any interaction. I'll let you guys know tomorrow. I'm hoping he's happy, though. He looks pretty good. He looks happy. All right. So there's that. I'm still having the ascension symptoms, or I don't know. I guess it's like the ascension. Not ascension. It's this, because we've already ascended, but it's the symptoms of actually making our bodies less dense, and that I'm still getting that, like, it feels like a cell phone vibrating inside my inside my bones, in my feet, my ankles, my lower legs. And today it happened in my right index finger. How odd, right? And it started doing it right after I was hovering my fingers over my keyboard, getting ready to type something or use the mouse or whatever. And then it occurred to me that maybe we're interacting with other dimensions. So I want you guys to toss that around in your mind for a minute and see what you think. Maybe we're interacting with the 6th or the 7th or the 9th dimension, and that's why our bones are starting to vibrate, because there's something where we are, and when we start to occupy the same space, when our energy goes up in vibration, it's very possible that we're touching something that's making us vibrate. Either that, or it's just because our bodies are expanding, and the molecules in our bodies are expanding, and we're getting rid of a lot of the dross material of our bodies as we venture more and more into the 5th dimension. So, it's just some thoughts I had, some strange thoughts, and thought if I run it by you guys, maybe it'll resonate, or maybe you could go, oh no, it's this for sure, I know it's that, maybe not, you'll know what it is, but because we're all kind of in this together, and it's all kind of brand new, right? Anyway, we're going to get to the Spirit's book right after these messages, so stay tuned. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you. All right, guys, we're going to jump right in here. This is The Spirits Book by Allan Kardec, published in Paris in 1857. If you want to know how this book came about, the backstory of this book, go to Netflix, because right now Kardec, Kardec, is the name of a movie about this man's life, and this is really and truly an incredible movie. So it's actually really fun. It's almost like a spiritual adventure in a way. But anyway, where we left off last week is at chapter 8. So we are now in chapter 8, Emancipation of the Soul. As you recall, this book is written in a way in which he asked the psychic mediums, and he took all the answers from all the different mediums he asked, who were asking the souls, their spirits, and he put all the answers, colluded. They were all colluded anyway. I think honestly, he just went to different psychic mediums, and it was his soul group or his spiritual guides that actually gave him the information again and again and again. And so he's like, look at all these spirits for all these psychic mediums are all saying exactly the same thing, right? So it must be true. But when I asked my higher guidance, they were about 92%, not 100% accurate, but 92% accurate. So just keep it in mind. If there's something that doesn't totally resonate with you, I think it was his spiritual or his soul group, giving him information that he needed, and maybe not 100% of the information, possibly. Just keep it in mind. But I think it's like 92% accurate. So as we move on, I want you to understand that, just because they're disembodied spirits doesn't make them spiritual masters. Keep that in mind. Everything always with a grain of salt, and always use your spiritual discernment as we proceed. All right. This chapter, Emancipation of the Soul, includes, number 1, sleep and dreams. Number 2, visits between the spirits of living persons. Number 3, transmission of thought. Number 4, lethargy, catalepsy, apparent death. Number 5, oh my God. I am one of these. I should know how to say it. 5, somnambulism. 6, trance. 7, second sight. 8, theory of somnambulism, trance, and second sight. And that's it. Now we're going to begin on the section entitled Sleep and Dreams. Question 400. Does the incarnated spirit reside willingly in his corporeal envelope? The spirit's answer: you might as well ask whether a prisoner willingly remains locked up in prison. They're so snarky right off the bat today. The incarnated spirit aspires incessantly after his deliverance, and the grosser his envelope, the more desirous is he to be rid of it. Oh my God. Okay. Question 401. Does the soul take rest like the body during sleep? The answer: no. A spirit is never inactive. The bonds which unite him to the body are relaxed during sleep, and as the body does not need his presence, he travels through space and enters into more direct relation with other spirits. Question 402. How can we ascertain the fact of a spirit's liberty during sleep? And Spirit's answer: by dreams. Be very sure that when his body is asleep, a spirit enjoys the use of faculties of which he is unconscious while his body is awake. He remembers the past and sometimes foresees the future. He acquires more power and is able to enter into communication with other spirits, either in this world or in some other. You often say, "I have had a strange dream, a frightful dream, without any likeness to reality." You are mistaken in thinking it to be so, for it often is a reminiscence of places and things which you've seen in the past, or a foresight of those which you will see in another existence, or in this one at some future time. The body being torpid, what does that even mean? I forgot. The body being torpid, the spirit tries to break his chain and seeks in the past or in the future for the means of doing so. Okay. And then they go on, they say, "Poor human beings, how little do you know of the commonest phenomena of your life. You fancy yourselves to be very learned, and you are puzzled by the most ordinary things." Two questions that any child might ask: what do we do when we're asleep? What are dreams? You are incapable of replying. Sleep affects a partial freeing of the soul from the body. When you sleep, your spirit is, for the time being, in the state in which you will be after your death. The spirits who at death are promptly freed from matter are those who, during their life, have what may be called intelligent sleep. Such persons, when they sleep, regain the society of other spirits superior to themselves. They go about with them, conversing with them, and gaining instruction from them. They even work in the spirit world at undertakings which, on dying, they find already begun or completed. From this you see how little death should be dreaded, since, according to the saying of St. Paul, you die daily. What we have just stated refers to spirits of an elevated degree of advancement. As for those of the common mass of men who, after their death, remain for long hours in the state of confusion and uncertainty, of which you have been told by such, they go, during sleep, into worlds of lower rank than earth, to which they are drawn back by old affections or by the attraction of pleasures still baser than those to which they are addicted in your world. Wow, baser than here? Weird. Visits in which they gather ideas still viler, more ignoble, and more mischievous than those which they had professed during their waking hours. And that which engenders sympathy in the earthly life is nothing else than the fact that you feel yourselves, on waking, affectionately attracted towards those with whom you have passed 8 or 9 hours of happiness or pleasure. That's weird. 8 or 9 hours only? In the 1800s, they only had sex for 1 minute a week. I'm just kidding. 8 or 9 hours of what? Why are they saying that? Okay. I had to scroll down. Okay. And the spirits continue. On the other hand, the explanation of the invincible antipathies you feel sometimes for certain persons is also to be found in the intuitive knowledge that you have thus acquired of the fact that those persons have another conscience than yours, because you know them without having previously seen them with your bodily eyes. It is the same fact, moreover, that explains the indifference of some people for others. They do not care to make new friends because they know they have others by whom they are loved and cherished. In a word, sleep has more influence than you think upon your life. See, I don't understand that. Wait. oh, have another conscience than yours. I'm like, well, no one does, because we're all one consciousness. Oh, wait, conscience. So that means that they think differently than you. I'm like, sorry, that really confused me for a minute. If it confused you, then hey, I just cleared it up. If not, I'm sorry if this is annoying. I jump in and go, wait a minute, in the middle of the reading. But so yeah, sleep does have more influence than you think upon your life. Through the effects of sleep, incarnated spirits are always in connection with the spirit world. And it is in consideration of this fact that spirits of a higher order consent without much repugnance to incarnate themselves among you. God has willed that during their contact with vice, they may go forth and fortify themselves afresh at the source of rectitude, in order that they who have come into your world to instruct others may not fall into evil themselves. Sleep is the gate opened for them by God, that they may pass through it to their friends in the spirit world, and it is their recreation after labor, while awaiting the great deliverance, the final liberation that will restore them to their true place. Dreams are the remembrance of what your spirit has seen during sleep, but you must remark that you do not always dream, because you do not always remember what you've seen or all that you've seen. Your dreams do not always reflect the action of your soul in its full development, for they are only often the reflex of confusion that accompanies your departure or your return, mingled with the vague remembrance of what you've done or of what's occupied your thoughts in your waking state. In what other way can you explain the absurd dreams which are dreamed by the wisest as by the silliest of mankind? Bad spirits also make use of dreams to torment the weak and timid souls. You will see ere long the development of another kind of dream, a kind which is as ancient as the one you know, but one of which you are ignorant. The dream we allude to is that of the Jeanne d'Arc. I guess they're trying to say Joan of Arc, but it's obviously in her language, Jeanne d'Arc. It says, but I know there's an apostrophe missing. Of Jacob, of the Jewish prophets, of certain Hindu ascetics, a dream which is the remembrance of the soul's experiences while entirely freed from the body. The remembrance of the second life, of which I spoke just now. You should carefully endeavor to distinguish these two kinds of dreams among those which you are able to recall. Unless you do this, you will be in danger of falling into contradictions and errors that would be prejudicial to your belief. Now, Allan Kardec added to that. He says, dreams are of a product of the emancipation of the soul, rendered more active by the suspension of the active life of relation, and enjoying a sort of indefinite clairvoyance, which extends to places at a great distance from us, or that we have never seen, or even to other worlds. To this state of emancipation is also due the remembrance which retraces to our memory the events which have occurred in our present existence or in preceding existences, the strangeness of the images of what has taken place in worlds unknown to us, mixed up with the things of the present world, producing the confused and whimsical medleys that seem to be equally devoid of connection and of meaning. The incoherence of dreams is still farther explained by the gaps resulting from the incompleteness of our remembrance of what has appeared to us in our nightly visions, an incompleteness similar to that of a narrative from which whole sentences or part of sentences have been omitted by chance, and whose remaining fragments have been thrown together again at random, have lost all intelligible meaning. Question 403. Why do we not always remember our dreams? The spirits say, what you call sleep is only the repose of the body, for the spirit is always in motion. During sleep, he recovers a portion of his liberty and enters into communication with those who are dear to him, either in this world or in other worlds. But as the matter of the body is heavy and gross, it is difficult for him to retain on waking the impressions he's received during sleep, because those impressions were not received by him through the bodily organs. Question 404. What is to be thought of the signification attributed to dreams? And the spirits say, dreams are not really indications in the sense attributed to them by fortune tellers, for it is absurd to believe that a certain kind of dream announces the happening of a certain kind of event. But they are indications of this, in this sense, vis-a-vis, they are present images which are real for the spirit, though they may have nothing to do with what takes place in his present corporeal life. Dreams are also in many cases, as we have said, a remembrance. They may also be sometimes a presentiment of the future, if permitted by God, or the sight of something which is taking place at the time in some other place to which the soul has transported itself. Have you not had many instances proving that persons may appear to their relatives and friends in dreams and give them notice of what's happening to them? What are the apparitions, if not the soul or spirit of persons who come to communicate with you? When you acquire the certainty that what you saw has really taken place, is it not a proof that it was no freak of your imagination, especially if what you saw were something which you had not thought of when you were awake? Question 405. We often see in dreams things which appear to be presentiments, which do not come to pass. So how is this? And the spirits answer, those things may take place in the experience of the spirit, though not in that of the body. That is to say that the spirit sees what he wishes to see because he goes out to find it. You must not forget that during sleep, the spirit is always more or less under the influence of matter, that consequently he's never completely free from terrestrial ideas, and that the objects of his waking thoughts may therefore give to his dreams the appearance of what he desires or of what he fears, thus producing what may be properly termed an effect of the imagination. When the mind is much busied with any idea, it is apt to connect everything it sees with that idea. Question 406. When, in a dream, we see persons who are well known to us doing things which they are not in any way thinking of, is it not a mere effect of the imagination? The spirits answer, of which are they not thinking? How do you know that this is so? Their spirit may come to visit yours as yours may go to visit theirs, and you don't always know in your waking state what they may be thinking of. And besides, you, often in your dreams, apply to persons whom you know, according to your own desires, reminiscences of what took place or is taking place in other existences. Question 407. Is it necessary to the emancipation of the soul that the sleep of the body should be complete? The answer, no. The spirit recovers his liberty as soon as the senses become torpid. He takes advantage in order to emancipate himself of every moment of respite left him by the body. As soon as there occurs any prostration of the vital forces, the spirit disengages himself from the body, and the feebler the body, the freer is the spirit. And Allan Kardec says, it is for this reason that dozing or mere dulling of the senses often presents the same images as dreaming. Very interesting insight there. Okay, question 408. We sometimes seem to hear within ourselves words distinctly pronounced, but having no connection with what we are thinking of. What is the cause of this? And the spirits answer, yes, you often hear words and even whole sentences, especially when your senses begin to grow torpid. It's sometimes the faint echo of the utterance of a spirit who wishes to communicate with you. Question 409. Often when only half asleep and with our eyes closed, will see distinct images, figures of which perceive the minutest details. Is this an effect of vision or of imagination? And they say, the body being torpid, the spirit tries to break his chain. He goes away and he sees. If the sleep were deeper, the vision would be a dream. Question 410. We sometimes, when asleep or half asleep, have ideas which seem to us to be excellent, but which, despite all the efforts we make to recall them, are effaced from our memory upon awakening. Whence come these ideas? The spirits answer, they are the result of the freedom of the spirit who emancipates himself from the body and enjoys the use of other faculties during this moment of liberty, and they are often counsels given to you by other spirits. The follow-up question, what is the use of such ideas and counsels since we lose the remembrance of them and cannot profit by them? And the answer, those ideas often belong rather to a world of spirits than to the corporeal world. But in general, though the body may forget them, the spirit remembers them, and the idea recurs to him at the proper time in his waking state, as though it were an inspiration of the moment. Question 411. Does the incarnated spirit, when he is freed from matter and acting as a spirit, know the epoch of his death? Okay, the answer, he often has a presentiment of it. He sometimes has a very clear foreknowledge of it, and it is this which gives him the intuition of it in his waking state. It is this also which enables some persons to foresee the time of their death with perfect exactness. Question 412. Can the activity of the spirit during the repose or the sleep of the body cause fatigue to the latter? The spirit's answer, yes, for the spirit is attached to the body as a captive balloon is fastened to the post, and just as the post is shaken by the movements of the balloon, so the activity of the spirit reacts upon the body and may cause it to feel fatigued. Visits between the spirits of living persons. Question 413. The emancipation of the soul during sleep would seem to indicate that we live simultaneously two lives. The life of the body, which is that of exterior relation, and the life of the soul, which is that of occult relation. Is this so? The spirits say, during the emancipation of the soul, the life of the latter takes precedence of the life of the body. This, however, does not, strictly speaking, constitute two lives, but rather two phases of one and the same life. For a man does not live a double life. So many jokes. Focus. Focus, Pinky. Okay, question 414. Can two persons who are acquainted with each other visit one another in sleep? The spirits say yes, and many others who in their waking state do not know that they are acquainted meet and converse together. You may, without suspecting it, have friends in another country. The fact of going during sleep to visit friends, relatives, acquaintances, persons who can be of use to you is extremely frequent, and you yourselves accomplish these visits almost every night. Question 415. What can be the use of these nocturnal meetings, since we do not remember them? The answer from the spirits. The intuition of them generally remains with you in your waking state, and is often the origin of ideas which afterwards occur to you, as it were, spontaneously, without your being able to account for them, but which are really those you had obtained in the spirit intercourse carried on by you during your sleep. Question 416. Can a man ensure the making of spirit visits by the exertion of his will? Can he do so, for example, by saying to himself on going to sleep, I will tonight meet such and such a person in spirit and speak with him about such and such a thing? And the spirits answer, this is what takes place. The man falls asleep and his spirit wakens to the other life, but his spirit is often very far from following out the plan which he had been resolved upon by the man, for the life of the man excites but little interest in his spirit when he's emancipated from matter. This statement, however, only applies to men who have already reached a certain degree of elevation. The others pass their spirit existence very differently. They give free rein to their passions or remain inactive. It may happen, therefore, according to the aim of the proposed action, that the spirit may go to see the parties he had, as a man, proposed a visit. But it does not follow that because he has willed to do so in the waking state, that he will necessarily do so in a state of freedom. And yet Brad Pitt just won't leave me alone. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. I've actually had a couple dreams where Brad and Angelina asked me to watch their children. And so I was watching them, of course, in my mansion, because in the dream world, I live in a kick-ass house. It was very weird. And I kept thinking, oh, such a strange dream. Like, whoa, why do I keep dreaming about people that I know from heaven, but I don't know them here? And I kept thinking it, but I didn't say anything. And then my husband had a dream, same exact dream. And I'm like, oh, they're visiting us in their dreams and dropping their 5 children off so that they could go off and have like a second honeymoon. And here my husband and I are like watching their kids. And we're all like very close friends in the spirit world. Very bizarre, so bizarre. So I wonder if I ever meet them in person, like, would they somehow spiritually recognize me? Like, wait, you're so familiar. You know what I mean? I'd be like, oh, well, I have been on a TV commercial. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, back to the book. Question 417. Can a number of incarnate spirits during sleep meet together and form assemblies? And like I just said, right? The spirits answer, undoubtedly they can. The ties of friendships, old or new, often bring spirits together who are happy to be in each other's company. And the note by Allan Kardec says, by the term old must be understood that the ties of friendship contracted in anterior existences. We bring back with us on awakening an intuition of the ideas which we have derived from these occult meetings, but by the source of which we are ignorant, or of the source of which we are ignorant. Question 418. If a person believed one of his friends to be dead, who is not dead, could he meet him as a spirit and then thus learn that he is living? Could he, in such a case, preserve the intuition of this fact on awakening? And the spirits answer, he could, certainly, as a spirit, see his friend and know what is his situation. And if the belief in the death of that friend had not been imposed on him as an expiation, he might retain an impression of his existence, as in the contrary case, he might retain that of his death. Interesting. Okay. Now we're into the section of occult transmission of thought. Question 419. Whence comes it that The same idea that of a discovery, for instance, so often suggests itself at the same time to several persons, although they might be at a distance from one another. You know what? I've been wondering this myself. The spirits say, we've already said that during sleep, spirits communicate with one another. Well, when his body awakens, a spirit remembers what he's learned, and the man thinks he has invented it. Thus, several persons may find out the same thing at the same time. When you say that an idea is, quote unquote, in the air, you employ a figure of speech that is much nearer to the truth than you suppose. Everyone helps unconsciously to propagate it. Very cool. And Allan adds his 2 cents. He says, in this way, our spirit often reveals to other spirits, without our being aware of it, that which formed the object of our meditations before we went to sleep. Yeah, that's a secret, solving stuff in your sleep. Okay, question 420. 420. Can spirits communicate between themselves when the body is awake? And they said, a spirit is not enclosed in his body as in a box, but radiates around it in every direction. He can therefore hold communication with other spirits even in the waking state, although it's done so with more difficulty. Yeah, I quite agree. Question 421. How comes it that 2 persons perfectly awake often will have the same thought at the same moment? And the answer, it's because 2 spirits who are in sympathy may communicate their thought to each other even when the body is not asleep. And so Allan Kardec adds, there is between spirits a communication of thoughts which sometimes enables 2 persons to see and understand one another without having any need of human speech. They may be said to speak the language of spirits. The next section is lethargy, catalepsy, apparent death. Question 422. In lethargy and catalepsy, the patients generally see and hear what takes place around them, but are unable to manifest their impressions. Is it through the eyes and ears of the body that these impressions are received? And the spirits answer, no, they're received by the spirit. The spirit is conscious but cannot express himself. And the follow-up question, why can he not express himself? And the spirits say, the state of his body prevents his doing so, and this particular or peculiar state of his bodily organs proves that man consists of something more than a body, since the body no longer works, and yet the spirit acts. Question 423. Can a spirit in a state of lethargy separate himself entirely from his body so as to give to the latter all the outward appearances of death, and afterward come back to inhabit it? And the spirits answer, in lethargy, the body is not dead, for it still accomplishes some of its functions. Its vitality is latent, as in the chrysalis hut is not annihilated. And a spirit, oh my God, as soon as I said my left ear, deaf, lots of tinnitus just in this moment. Oh, that's crazy. And I'm getting a little bit dizzy. Oh my gosh. Okay. It's still going. I had to pause for a while, but that came on suddenly and I got very dizzy suddenly. I'm getting a massive download right now, which means you guys probably are too. It's 4:08 a.m. The 42-minute introduction that I did is 75% uploaded and has been for 3 hours. Can you believe that? So another reason why this is late. Battery was perfect today. It's even still right now, perfect. If it's not one thing, it's your mother. I mean another. Let me read this again. In lethargy, the body is not dead, for it still accomplishes some of its functions. Its vitality is latent, as in the chrysalis hut is not annihilated, and a spirit is united to his body as long as it remains alive. When once the links which keep them together are broken by the death and desegregation of the bodily organs, the separation is complete, and the spirit never again comes back to his body. When one who is apparently dead comes to life again, it's because the process of death was not entirely consummated. Question 424. Is it possible by means of timely help to renew the ties which were ready to break and to give back life to a person who, but for this help, would have definitely ceased to live? And the spirits say, yes, undoubtedly. And you have proofs of this every day. Mesmerism often exercises, in such cases, a powerful restorative action because it gives to the body the vital fluid which it lacks and which is necessary to keep up the play of the organs. Okay, and Allan Kardec answers, lethargy and catalepsy proceed from the same cause, vis-a-vis the temporary loss of sensibility and power of motion, from some as yet unexplained physiological condition. It's probably from tinnitus. Okay, I'm just kidding. It's still going on. They differ in this respect vis-a-vis that in lethargy, the suppression of the vital force is general and gives to the body an appearance of death, whereas in catalepsy, that suppression is localized and may affect a more or less extensive portion of the body while leaving the intelligence free to manifest itself, a fact which does not allow it to be confounded with death. Lethargy is always natural. Catalepsy. Okay, lethargy is always natural. Catalepsy is sometimes spontaneous, but it may be produced and dissipated artificially by mesmeric action. Yeah, it's very interesting. When they say lethargy, I mean, I feel like lethargic, like I'm getting ready to fall asleep. I think, do they mean stroke? Was lethargy? I know several of you out there are nurses. If you know this, I'd like to know if lethargy is an olden days term, like 160 years ago, 162 years ago. Did they use the word lethargy for the now new term stroke? Does anyone know that? I'd like to know. Okay, going on to the next section of this chapter. Somnambulism, there we go. Question 425. Is there any connection between natural somnambulism and dreaming? And the spirits answer, in somnambulism, the independence of the soul is more complete, and its functions are more developed than in dreaming, and it has perceptions that it has not in dreaming, which is an imperfect somnambulism. And they continue. In somnambulism, the spirit is entirely freed from the action of matter. The material organs, being in a sort of catalepsy, are no longer receptive of external impressions. This state most frequently occurs during sleep because the spirit is then able to absent itself from the body, which is given up to the repose that is indispensable to matter. When somnambulism occurs, it is because the spirit of the sleeper, intent upon doing something or other that requires the aid of his body, makes use of it in a manner analogous to that of which spirits make use of a table or other material object in producing the phenomena of physical manifestations or of a human hand in giving written communications. In the dreams of which a man is conscious, his organs, including those of memory, are beginning to awaken. And as they only receive and transmit to the spirit imperfectly the impressions made on them by exterior objects or action, the spirit, who is then in a state of repose, only perceives these impressions through confused and often disconnected sensations, which in many cases are still further confused by being mingled with vague remembrances of his present life and anterior existences. It is easy, therefore, to understand why somnambulists do not remember their visions and why the greater number of dreams you remember have no rational meaning. I say the greater number, for it sometimes happens that dreams are the consequence of a precise remembrance of events that have occurred in one of your former lives, or even a sort of intuition of the future. Question 426. Is there any connection between what is called mesmeric somnambulism and natural somnambulism? Mesmeric, that kind of means hypnosis. I'm a somnambulist in all possible ways, and so this is a good question. All right, anyway, the spirits say they are the same thing. The only difference between them being that one of them is artificially produced. Artificial meaning man-made, right? Yeah, so when a man hypnotizes you, or woman, obviously. So, yeah, right. Natural somnambulism, it's, everyone goes into natural states of hypnosis, and not everybody is a somnambulist, though. And somnambulist is like when you go so deep that you don't really remember. Like if you're in hypnosis, a lot of times you won't remember what happened later. But at the same time, like I go to other worlds, like, and I'll come back and I'll remember bits and pieces. It's like, wait a minute, I think I was like in another world for 20 years. And I came back to this time like an hour later or something. It's crazy. Okay, question 427. What is the nature of the agent called the magnetic or mesmeric fluid? Oh, very interesting question. The spirits say it is the vital fluid, animalized electricity, a modification of the universal fluid. Wow, that's so strange. All right, question 428. What is the nature of somnambulic clairvoyance? And they say, we've told you that it is soul sight. Okay, that was a very short and clipped answer. Question 429. How can the somnambulist see through opaque bodies? And the spirits say, it is only to your gross organs that bodies are opaque. Have we not told you that matter is not an obstacle for spirit, since he passes freely through it? A somnambulist often tells you that he sees through his forehead, his knee, etc., because you, being plunged into matter, do not understand that he can see without the help of organs. He himself, influenced by your ideas, believes that he needs those organs, but if you left him to himself, he would understand that he sees through every part of his body, or rather he sees independently of his body. Question 430. Since the clairvoyance of the somnambulist is that of his soul or of his spirit, why does he not see everything? And why does he so often make mistakes? Hey, watch it, buddy. Sorry. Just kidding. I didn't take offense to that at all. Since everyone makes mistakes. Okay, answer. In the first place, spirits of low degree do not see and comprehend everything. For, as you know, they still share the errors and your prejudices. And in the next place, as long as they remain more or less attached to matter, they have not the use of all their spirit faculties. God has given the faculty of clairvoyance to man for a serious and useful purpose, and do not inform him of what it is not permitted to him to know. And this is why somnambulists do not know everything. Again, watch it, buddy. Just kidding. Obviously, no one knows everything, except the one who created all the things. Okay, question 431. What is the source of the somnambulist's innate ideas, and how can he speak correctly of things of which he is ignorant in his waking state and which are even above his intellectual capacity? And the spirits say, A somnambulist may possess more knowledge than you give him credit for, but this knowledge is latent in his waking state, because his envelope is too imperfect for him to be able to remember all that he knows as a spirit. But in point of fact, what is he? Like all of us, he is a spirit who has been incarnated in matter for the accomplishment of his mission, and is going into the somnambulic state rouses him from the lethargy of incarnation. We have repeatedly told you that we relive many times. It is this changing of our existences that causes him to lose sight, in a new connection with matter, of what he may have known in a preceding one. On entering into the state which you call a crisis, he recalls what he has formerly known, but not always with completeness. He knows, but he can't tell whence he derives his knowledge, nor in what way he possesses it. The crisis over, his reminiscences fade from his consciousness, and he re-enters the obscurity of corporeal life. And Allan Kardec adds this explanation. Experience shows us that somnambulists also receive communications from other spirits who tell them what they are to say and supply what is lacking on their part. This supplementing of their insufficiency is often and especially witnessed in medical consultations. The spirit of the clairvoyant sees the malady and another spirit indicating the remedy required. This double action is often patent to bystanders and always also frequently revealed in such expressions on the part of the somnambulist as "I am told to say" or "I am forbidden to say," etc. In the latter case, it's always dangerous to persist in the effort to obtain a revelation refused by a clairvoyant, because by doing so will then open a door to frivolous and unscrupulous spirits who prat on about everything without any regard to veracity, which means truth. Okay, question 432. How do you explain the power of seeing at a distance possessed by some somnambulists? And the answer: does not the soul transport itself to a distance during sleep? It does the same thing in somnambulism. Psst. Hey, what do you want from me here? It's like kind of what I get the impression of the spirit sometimes. They have that kind of accent. All right. Question 433. Does the greater or lesser degree of somnambulic clairvoyance depend on the physical organization of the body or on the nature of the spirit incarnated in it? And they say on both, but there are physical qualities that allow the spirit to liberate himself more or less easily from matter. Question 434. Are the faculties enjoyed by the somnambulist the same as those possessed by the spirit after death? And the spirit's answer: they are the same, but only up to a certain point, for you have to take into account the influence of the matter to which he's still attached. Question 435. Can somnambulists see other spirits? And they answer: that depends on the nature and degree of their faculties. I know, right? The greater number of them see other spirits perfectly well, but they don't always recognize them at once as being such, and they mistake them for corporeal beings. Yeah, that doesn't happen to me. A mistake that's often made by somnambulists, and especially by those among whom know nothing of spiritism. Not understanding anything by the essence of the spirits, they are astonished at seeing them in human form and suppose them to be living persons. See, that's crazy, because that's never, ever happened to me. I can barely see spirits. I can feel them like they're in the room, but I can't. I can maybe see an outline or a flash of light, but I never actually see them as if they're, like, there. You know, not totally. I've seen a couple ghosts, like, actually appear, but it's super rare. Anyway, the same effect, according to Allan, he adds his 2 cents here. He says the same effect is produced at the moment of death in the consciousness of those who suppose themselves to be still living. Nothing about them appears to be changed, but the spirits around them seem to have bodies like ours, and they take the appearance of their own body to be that of a real body of flesh. Question 436. When a somnambulist sees objects at a distance, does he see them with his body or with his soul? And they answer, why should you ask such a question since it's the soul that sees and not the body? Snarky, rude, and totally annoyed they are. Snarky, rude, and totally annoyed they are. Sorry, I just had to say that comment again in a Yoda voice. Question 437. Since it is the soul that transports itself to a distance, how is it that the somnambulist feels in his body the sensation of heat or cold of the place where his soul is, and which is sometimes very far away from the place where his body is? And they say, his soul is not entirely quitted the body, so which it is still attached by the link which unites them together. Probably the silver cord. It is this link that is the conductor of sensation. Ooh. When two persons in two different cities correspond with each other by electricity, beepity beep beep beep. Sorry, is that what they mean? Okay. It is the electricity that constitutes a link between their thoughts and enables them to communicate with one another as though they were close together. Question 438. Is the state of the somnambulist influenced after death by the use he has made of his faculty? Very considerably, they say, as is done by the good or bad use of the faculties that God has given to man. All right. The next section is called trance. Question 439. What difference is there between trance and somnambulism? Ooh, good question. Spirits say, trance is a more refined somnambulism. The soul, when in trance, is still more independent. Question 440. Does the soul of the ecstatic really enter into higher worlds? The answer, yes. He sees them and perceives the happiness of those who are in them. But there are worlds that are inaccessible to spirits who are not sufficiently purified. Yes, that's true. Okay, question 441. When a person in trance expresses the desire to quit the earth, does he speak sincerely, and is he not retained by the instinct of self-preservation? The spirits answer, well, that depends on the degree of the spirit's purification. If he sees that his future situation will be better than his present one, he makes an effort to break the links that bind him to the earth. Or wouldn't that be the opposite? Like, if I'm like thinking, I don't want to be here, and then I see my future here, and it's like really awesome, well, obviously I do everything in my power to stay here, right? Maybe they didn't consider that to be the case. I don't know. Whatever. Interpret it as you will. Question 442. If the ecstatic were left to himself, might his soul definitively quit his body? And the spirits say, yes, he might die. And it's therefore necessary to call him back by everything that may attach him to the lower life, especially by making him see that if he breaks the chain which keeps him here, he will have taken the most effectual means of preventing his staying in the world in which he perceives that he would be happy. Question 443. The ecstatic sometimes professes to see things which are evidently the product of an imagination impressed with earthly beliefs and prejudices. What he sees, therefore, is not always real? Question mark. And spirits say, what he sees is real for him. But as the spirit is always under the influence of terrestrial ideas, he may see it in his own way, or to speak more correctly, he may express it in a language accommodated to his prejudices, or to the ideas in which he has been brought up, or to your own, in order the better to make himself understood. It is in this way that he is most apt to err. Error, E-R-R, error. It's hard to say. Question 444. 444. Ooh, that's a magical number. 444. That means thousands of angels surround you right now. What degree of confidence should be accorded to the revelations of persons in a state of trance? The answer: the ecstatic may very frequently be mistaken, especially when he seeks to penetrate what must remain a mystery for man, for he then abandons himself to his own ideas, or becomes the sport of deceiving spirits who take advantage of his enthusiasm to dazzle him with false appearances. Weird. Okay. So question 445. That's why we have to use spiritual discernment. Question 445. What inductions are to be drawn from the phenomena of somnambulism and of trance? May they not be considered as a sort of initiation into the future life? The answer from the spirits: it would be more correct to say that in those states the somnambulist may obtain glimpses of his past and future lives. Let man study those phenomena. He will find in them the solution of more than one mystery, which his unassisted reason seeks in vain to penetrate. Question 446. Could the phenomena of somnambulism and trance be made to accord with theoretical materialism? The answer: he who should study them honestly and without preconceived ideas could not be either a materialist or an atheist. Cool. All right. We're going to stop there for the night, and next week we will begin again, and we're going to start next week with second sight. That's still in the same chapter, because sometimes these are very long. All right, that's it for tonight. I love you guys very much. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and that you are getting ready to have a really lovely Thanksgiving. That's in a couple days. That if you're preparing for travel, please be safe and remember to pack emergency supplies just in case, especially if you're traveling in snowy conditions. I want to tell you now because got a few days to figure it out. But my near twin, he's going to be traveling, I think tomorrow, he said, or maybe Wednesday. So yeah, I just want you guys to be safe. It's getting cold in the U.S. It's snowy. There's a cold front that's going across the whole U.S. right now. It's going to bring a frosty front, and then it's followed by a secondary one. So, you guys bundle up this week up there. I worry for you guys in the colder, rainier places. Although it's been very rainy here, but we're not even getting floods anymore. It rains a lot, but it's been a lot more like dry with thunderstorms and lightning, with a little bit of rain, but not much, like more thunder and lightning than rain. The last few days it's been a little bit more rainy, but it's been very sweet and pleasant. I don't know if you guys can hear the birds, but they're so adorable. They've been chirping for over a half hour already. They're earlier than normal. But anyway, I guess the time changed. They didn't really get the memo. Time doesn't change here. We don't change it here, but they go along with the way the sun is. It's kind of neat. Anyway, well, that's it. I might have to re-record the first part, the introduction that I did. It was 42 minutes long, and I've been waiting for 3 hours for it to upload. Crazy, right? So we'll see when we see. But anyway, that's it for now, guys. I hope that you're doing really well, and thank you for listening. I love you guys very much. I appreciate your listenership, and I guess it's like listening plus friendship, maybe. Listenership. Is that even a word? I'm too tired. I don't know. Anyway, that's it for now. I still need your Santa Claus and miracle stories for the holidays. So send those to metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com. All right, that's it, guys. I'm signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time, guys. Peace. Do you ever wish you could look into the next chapter in your book of life and see what's coming next? What does the universe have in store for you? I can help you with that. I will give you a Celtic cross reading, which is 10 cards, or you can ask me 3 questions, and I use 3 cards per question. So that's 9 cards, or I can channel your higher guidance, or maybe God directly for you. Maybe you want to talk to your dear departed Aunt Edna, because maybe you have a few questions and she was the smartest person you knew. If your deceased relatives are available or your ascended masters, I can channel them for you personally. Let me have 1 hour to show you the future in your next chapter of your book of life. Readings are $75, and it takes me an hour to an hour and a half to complete. And for this price, you will also be hooked up to the healing grid around the planet for free, which means yours truly, me, I will be giving you Reiki 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your life. All you have to do is let me know. metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com, and we will explore your future together.